Hello.
Hello, everybody. It is Friday's Eve, as always, and we are here for another episode of Baddies Talk Back. How you doing, Jazz?
I'm doing great. Right before it was time to come on live. Like I was scrambling. I was trying to so I'm hot spotting right now from my cell phone. So
okay. Hey, as long as you got a connection, that's all that matters. How's your week been, though?
Man, it's actually been a good week. I've had a good week. I've had like a happy dancing week. Only because I don't know, God is good. And what did I say? Black and brilliant. Just gotta thank him for your gifts, man.
Yes. I love to hear when you're having good weeks. I love to hear when anybody's having a good week, especially the way how 2020's been going.
Yes. Yeah. So I see Sire in the background. How are things going your way?
We're doing good. We're trying to get settled into, this whole Arizona heat. We've actually become adjusted to the heat. Like today, it was like 95, which we walked outside and we're just like, oh, it's actually pretty cool outside. Because it's been like 115, 117, right? You say 95 is cool. And you're like, is it? So, yeah. He started his college classes today. So that was, he's doing those all virtual, but still here to get the whole kind of experience. But it's been good.
That's good. That's good. Yeah. And at least you get a little extra time together, because I know this is going to be like a huge adjustment. It's just been you guys for a long time.
It is, yes. So I'm sure next week I'll probably be boohooing in between like virtual meetings that we're having and texting you like, I don't know if I can do this.
Yeah, always good to know you got to take a break. Sometimes you got to be like, I need a minute.
Yes, exactly. But I am excited for tonight's topic. And I think a lot of people who are tuning in are excited as well. We're going to have some fun with this.
We are. So ladies, as you're joining, be sure to share this live. We're going to have a great time tonight. Tonight, we are talking about dating after breast cancer. And we have 3 guests tonight, which we haven't done before. So this should be really cool. CJ is running just a little late, but we're going to cue her in as soon as she comes on. And really, this discussion was cued on by a blog that CJ wrote last year, I think, or maybe it was earlier this year. It's probably last year. And it was called Dating After Breast Cancer, aka When Do You Tell a Guy You Have No Breast? Mm-hmm. And this year, Valentine's Day, we asked someone to write about love, and we got all of these different perspectives. So tonight, we're going to talk about all of it. And we have some of your awesome questions as well. So without further ado, I will introduce our first guest. So we have Keneene Lewis. She is an undergraduate and graduate admissions counselor, a graduate student, and divorced single mother of 1. And her daughter's name is Calista. And she was diagnosed with invasive ductal carcinoma stage 3 in January 2019. Everyone, let's welcome Keneene.
Woo, 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 woo. Hey, girl, hey. Oh, I don't think we can hear you, boo.
You're muted. Hang on.
There we go. I'm good. Hey, how y'all doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. Getting ready to be like Marissa with that empty nest life.
Yes.
Tomorrow. Yeah. I'm looking forward. Well, you're sweet. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're excited. Definitely excited for, kids to be moving on and starting their own thing. But it like Jasmine said, it's definitely a life change for sure.
Yeah, it's been she and I since she was 2. So
yeah.
Same. That's a whole Baddies Talk Back all on its own. We have to do it.
Ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Marissa, would you like to introduce our next guest?
Yes, I will. So our next guest is Nadia Smith. She is a breast cancer thriver since 2016, and she resides in the Dallas, Texas area. Nadia decided to share her journey in order to inform others that breast cancer does not discriminate, portray the reality and unknown obstacles of treatment, prove the diagnosis does not cancel your future, and most importantly, encourage someone battling the disease. So everybody, please welcome Nadia to the screen and to our Baddies Talk Back.
Hello, hello. Hey, ladies.
Hey.
How are you?
I am doing well. Excited about that Friday to come with nowhere to go. But it's been a pretty good week, though. It's been pretty calm, so I'll take it.
Yeah.
Good, good. So yes, I feel like we should definitely just dive on in because I know there's going to be a lot to talk about for sure and soon. So Keneene, let's start with you. So your story is different in that you were dating someone when you were diagnosed.
Yeah.
And just for everybody who doesn't know, the blog that Keneene wrote was No Longer My Person. So can you tell us a bit about that relationship?
Yeah. So he and I were dating probably about almost 2 years at that point, and we were going to my work's holiday party when I found my lump, and I was just like, that'll probably go away. So I didn't say nothing to him. Then I was like, well, let me make an appointment. It's still here. Fast forward, it became, that I did have cancer. And I told him, he was like, I'm there for you. We're going to get through this, blah, 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 blah. And then it was time for me to go get my lumpectomy after all the tests and the biopsies and all of that. And he was nowhere to be found. I'm like, well, maybe it's because all my family's here. He'll probably pop up. So I kept reaching out, nothing, nothing, nothing. Fast forward a couple of months, and I finally found him, and he was in the hospital. Come to find out, he had cancer, colon cancer.
Wow.
And how he describes it, which I don't think he thinks when he says it. He's like, it just caught me off guard. I'm like, obviously the same thing for me as well. But he's like, it caught me off guard, and I just didn't know what to do. And he was in the hospital for like a month and a half because they was trying to figure out what it was. And for him, we had different experiences. My experience from my cancer was I want to live every day to the fullest. His cancer, his experience is it kind of stunted him. He has like PTSD from it. And so he's adjusting. We're still in touch. We're still in touch right now. He's actually going with me to take my daughter to college tomorrow, but he's adjusting.
Yeah, we all got wide eyed like.
But he's like her stepdad. But he's getting with it. I advise him to get counseling, like I think everybody should. But you have to work through it on your own process. Not to say that I'm not still working through the mental stuff. It's just while I'm working through it, I'm living my best life as much as possible. So,
and so I was married, and like the baddies in the group know this, that I am recently going through a divorce. And Marissa, I just realized we didn't introduce ourselves. I think we were so excited for tonight. So
I know. I seen the comment and I was like, oops.
My name is Jasmine. Marissa is my work wife. We are the co-founders of For the Rest of Us. We've been doing this for a little bit over a year. For the Rest of Us is the first inclusive community for women of color affected by breast cancer. So all women of color. And we're just doing the darn thing. I mean, we're having a great time.
We are. And I am in Seattle, Washington. Currently, I'm in Arizona, but I am from Seattle, Tacoma, Washington. And Jasmine is in Jacksonville, Florida. And I know when people hear that, they're probably like, how do you guys do it? But we make it work. And, we have God on our side to keep on pushing through. So that's our quick introduction. But definitely, if you are a woman of color, we will put it in the link later. We do have a private Facebook group called Breast Cancer Baddies, which both of these ladies are a part of. So please join that group as well.
Yes. So, but yes, Keneene, I was married then, and I've gone through a divorce now. Like my papers are signed, sealed, delivered. And I mean, it was interesting because he kind of did the same thing, but we were married, which kind of sucked. It was present, but really not present. And not a painful relationship. Like I've always told people, there's nothing worse than being with people and being alone.
Yes.
That is the feeling.
Right.
And so that brings me to Another thing, you guys' name right, Keneene?
Yeah.
And Nadia or
Yep.
Nadia?
Nadia.
Okay. Now you touched on it in your vlog, and I had to when I like stuff, I have to give it 3 snaps
Right.
because you talked about how you had your own stuff going on and you did not have time to coach a man on how to support you because you were in a relationship as well. And you said you were dating someone when you were diagnosed and he didn't have the emotional capacity to support you. What did that look like? How was he behaving?
So it was more of I had to beg for the support. So it's like I'm here, but just being here wasn't enough. So there are a lot of different layers, levels to it. There was distance between us, and at that time, there was really I feel like I should have been the focus because I've supported you, through life in ups and downs, and I should have received the same support. So it took a while for me to really get the fact that I'm not getting what I need because you're so caught up in all these decisions you have to make, like all these doctor's appointments, like you have 1,000 things going on. And then I realized what's missing. Like I don't have the support from the inside, like people from the outside that I've shared it with, they were very supportive, but I didn't have the support at the end of the day. So after I took my cape off, you're working, you're doing everything. And I came home, like I didn't have that support. So he was there, but like you said, that's the worst feeling of being alone when you're not alone. So it was very little talk about what was happening. It was just happening. But how do you really feel? How do you really feel about it? Like you should be the person that I'm crying to. Like you should see the worst of the worst. But that's when I reached my breaking point. Like I'm tired of pretending that I'm okay, to the person that I should be most vulnerable with. So it just got to the point where it just wasn't there. And it wasn't that he was a bad person and it wasn't that he didn't care. It's just he did not have the emotional capacity to deal with the situation. He didn't know how to respond.
Absolutely.
Right.
And I know for us, it was like we started going to therapy. Like since I was diagnosed, let's find a therapist. But I think you have to have that willingness to work through your own stuff. And emotional abandonment is a real thing.
Fact.
Yeah. And I think just as being survivors, we always feel like we have to take care of everybody else too, right? I think all of us had to do that, whether it would be with a partner, our friends or family. We always felt like, oh, okay, well, let me help manage, their emotions and what they're doing. But then we're in the same predicament that we were in when we were diagnosed or even before, where we're taking care of other people before we take care of ourselves.
Yes. And
then that image that you put forth, like for me, it was like, I'll handle it. I can't, that's my thing. I'll take care of it. I'll handle it. But I didn't feel that way, with the diagnosis. Like I feel like I had it under control, like I was putting on the cape, but I really didn't have it. And I wanted him to see the difference between me wearing all the hats and me when I'm struggling to deal with something behind closed doors. And he didn't really see the difference.
Yes. That is true. That's so true. Feeling like you don't have that person to rely on, or just to take, like you said, take the cape off, take the mask off, take it all off, and just be completely vulnerable with somebody.
Right. And that's exhausting. Like, we all know what it's like. You're juggling 1,000 different things, all these decisions, your mind never stops. Sleeping is hard enough. So it's exhausting pretending to be okay.
Yes. For everybody. Yeah.
Now, so Keneene, you may have touched on it a little bit, but I know you had said that, tomorrow you and boy are getting back, you're taking your daughter down to college. So do you mind sharing with us how that came to be? Are you guys just pretty much just friends, or
are you still figuring it out?
We're still figuring it out. I feel like I said in my blog, he's my person. I feel like that, but I'm not waiting on my person to realize he's my person. And so we're taking her because since we moved to Georgia, I met him and he's just been big in her life, and she looks at him like he's her stepdad. So when it was time to take her, he was like, okay, I'm gonna go with you or whatever. But I mean, it's a figuring out. I was talking to him probably about a week or two ago about, just like where his head is and everything. And I'm like, if you have to get some counseling. We all have to get counseling. It's not a bad thing. And just because you may have gone to counseling in the past, that does not mean that this counseling session will be the same as that one, because he had a bad experience. And so I'm like, just get a different counselor. It could be completely different. I'll go with you. You want to go by yourself, whatever. And so I'm trying to encourage him to do that, no matter if he's with me or not, because I want nothing but the best for him. But I too am trying to get my counseling, because that's the part of my treatment plan that wasn't emphasized, and I think it should be strongly emphasized just as much as diet and vitamins and chemo and radiation. It needs to be all together, and they did not tell me a lot about the emotional stuff, and being that I was fighting for my life, I wasn't thinking about that. And so I just recently reached out to like my job so I can try to get that all squared away, because I need to also deal with the anger that I have from getting cancer, the anger from him, the anger from other stuff, all of that. So yeah, but no, I talked to him about it. We'll see. But like I said, I'm not waiting, I'm dating. So
yeah. That's one thing,
left,
Yeah. Jasmine and I always talk about that. A part of your cancer team, they should always recommend a mental health therapist. Like, I don't know why that's just not a part of the first 3 to 5 people that you're seeing, because I don't know if you have heard the term collateral damage. Like there's so much collateral damage that you're collecting on your journey and then even afterwards.
Yes. I feel like the day that they set up that nurse navigator to say, okay, so this is going to be your chemo oncologist, this is going to be your radiation oncologist, this is going to be your mental health person,
There you go.
It should have been that same aspect. And I am right now kind of working with the nurse navigator team at the hospital I went through to try to like strongly emphasize that, because that is where they sincerely dropped the ball. And I wasn't dealing with that stuff at that time. Now that I'm on the other side of it, I'm now like, okay, I got these bags on my back. Let's figure it out, So.
Yes.
Well, and I agree. I was 2 years in before I decided to seek therapy. So that's when it hit me, like when the doctor's appointments are, now they're never over, but when they start to come down, when you get to the 6 months and then finally to the year, you're like, okay, so I'm on the other side of this thing. Now what? But I was in autopilot. So for so long, like I just didn't feel anything. You're just like, I gotta do this. Like I'm making it happen. And you just have that moment when you realize, like, I don't even feel anything, like I don't even feel anything anymore. And we went through this laundry list of doctors, and not one time was a counselor there or a psychologist, there. But luckily, one of the first people I met in undergrad is now a licensed psychologist. I had those people in my corner. She was there when I rolled out my bilateral mastectomy. Really didn't understand why, but she knew her purpose and her assignment in my life. Because at that point, I didn't think like I need a counselor. I need somebody, there right beside me to year 2, and life was blowing up again for other stuff, like for other stuff.
So I completely agree.
So someone had the comment that all you see is these women talking about how amazing their partners were through their journey. And it doesn't feel good when you experience the exact opposite. I would co-sign that, but I think that's part of social media, honestly. I try to do my best to share my bad days as well, because I realize that, and oftentimes it's those posts and those bad days where somebody's like, man, I just need to know somebody else is going through the same thing.
Amen.
And that's why we always tell people, like, you have to share your story. You have to share your experience. experiences, because oftentimes we go through so many things in isolation, not realizing that there are so many women that are like, oh my gosh, me too. I'm dealing with this.
Yep. I completely agree. I kind of use Instagram and Facebook as my journal through the whole process. And so if it was a good day, if it was a bad day, like when I got neuropathy or these freaking hot flashes that I'm having right at this current moment, or when I had to like cut my hair and all of that, or adjusting to the fact that my hair wasn't growing back, or not fully growing back. I put it all on Facebook, and people kept asking me like, why are you doing this? Are you doing this for attention? Like, for me, it was if it could reach one person, so that, because when I was looking out, I wish I would have found For the Rest of Us when I first got diagnosed. I didn't find you guys until after. I would have loved that. I didn't want to do like the group thing at the doctor's office or the hospital.
Yeah,
but nobody looked like me. Nobody was my age. Nothing. I was like the youngest person in there. But I wanted something, but I couldn't find it. So I was like, okay, I got like, 1,000 people on Facebook and about 500 people on here. Maybe it will help someone else, because I couldn't find it. Maybe by me telling the ins and outs, the goods, the bads, all of it, it'll help someone. And I definitely put my bad days. Like, I've had insomnia for the last 3 months. Along with the hot flashes, I talk about all the good and the bad, but I'm also a silver lining person. I'm a Gemini, so I constantly do this all day. I put the bad, but I try to come through with a good on the end to try to lift myself up. I believe in fake it till you feel it.
Right. I know one of the other comments here, real quick, Jasmine, I just want to say somebody had said emotional abandonment was more painful than the cancer diagnosis to me. I got diagnosed and then dumped in the same week by the man who wanted to marry me because, in his words, he didn't sign up for this. I have no words, but do have these two for him.
Definitely. Definitely.
Yes.
Thank you. I know the word she meant, but just say thank you.
Yeah. Which, yes, emotional abandonment, which is AKA ghosting, which I know Jasmine and I are going to talk about that, in a little bit, kind of pose some questions about that. But yeah, emotional abandonment is like,
it's the worst.
Worse.
It's the worst. Because to be with someone and to not be with them is like, why? And I think that's one of the things that I really struggled with coming out of it, because it was like, man, if I'm really going through this worst moment in my life and you're here but not here, so I'm kind of doing it on my own, like there's very little value in this.
And then you want to ask like, right. And then you want to ask like, well, why are you here then?
Yeah, I will.
And I did.
Exactly. That's definitely what I would say. Why are you here? I don't need you. I can do this. I did this without him. You know what I'm saying? And so, and I told him, I said, I told him the same thing that you said. I said, why weren't you there? But because you weren't, you miss out on having me help you get through this as well. He didn't tell anybody. He shut everybody out, family, me, everybody, because that's how he felt he needed to handle it. But I told him, I said, you isolated yourself when you could have been loved on and supported and nurtured. I talk about you guys all the time. I'm like, you could have had a male for the rest of y'all, You could be great like me. You could be smiling like me,
Yeah.
So, ladies, CJ is in her car. CJ, please be careful. I told you guys she was bringing her son back from soccer, so she wants to join the conversation. And it was her blog that kind of sparked this conversation. Her blog was "Dating After Cancer: When You Tell a Guy You Have No Boobs." And CJ is originally from Southern California. She's now living in Florida with me. She was diagnosed with stage 2-3 triple negative breast cancer at age 27, and then diagnosed stage 4 at 28. CJ, please be careful.
We'll be here.
Can you hear
CJ,
me?
are you there?
Hi, guys. Sorry about that.
Hello.
I'm being very careful, Gavin. You know how I drive. That's why she's stressed out. But yeah, no, sorry about that, guys. My son had a soccer game and I got stuck. We got stuck with a little bit of a delay. But yes, hello everyone.
Hello.
Your beautiful face, but we will settle through the darkness that is your car. So, in your blog, when you tell a guy you have no breasts, it was one of the most popular blogs that we have, and it resonated with a lot of our survivors. I think that's like a big question. But this was really inspired by a Twitter poll that you conducted. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so basically what happened was there were a number of people that I had spoken to that, and just kind of stories that I had read in regards to a lot of women, and this was mainly on Facebook actually. There were a number of women who they were really scared to go out and date. They didn't know what to do. They didn't, a lot of them were flat or they had reconstruction, and so they just didn't feel like themselves. And there was a lot of, I want to say, like, negative emotion that kind of obviously that comes with it, but they were just, very insecure, very hard on themselves, which that comes with it. Your self-esteem kind of gets shot down, your self-confidence gets shot down. There's a number of things that come with, a cancer diagnosis. And so I kind of was bored one day and I was like, well, let's take a poll. And because, I'm like, with my experience as far as dating is concerned, I've had those conversations with these men. I've had to, that was something that I had to decide whether or not, whether or not I need to tell them and when to tell them, and kind of gauge their responses. And 99% of the time, they did not care. And so it was just one of those things where I was kind of like, well, let's just do a Twitter poll and kind of solidify that, because I know with my experience, that's what it's been, but I can't speak for everyone else. And so, I did the Twitter poll, and a strong,
Nope, sorry.
Sorry, a strong number of, there was I can't remember the percentage per se, but there was a high percentage of men who they either said, yeah, it would take a little bit of getting used to, and then there was a high percentage of men that said they didn't care because it was the person. And so it was just kind of one of those things where I wanted to bring that to light with other women of, look, I was a double D. I went from a double D to completely flat. And that's just, and it was just a huge change. I thought I was going to be okay with it, and it ended up hitting me a little bit harder once everything was said and done. And it was one of those things where I really had to kind of get out of my own head and realize that when it comes to men, as crappy as it may sound, they really don't care. They genuinely don't care. They really just want, someone that they can just be themselves with, depending on, who the person is. And I even had men who their biggest thing were like, we don't even care about boobs. Like, boobs are just, like, we really just care is your butt real. Like, that's all I care about is the butt real, because that's all we need. And so it helped kind of with that situation where I kind of slowly gained my confidence back in the dating world of being able to talk to these men and just say, hey, look, I had cancer at one point, I had breast cancer at one point, and, and then a little bit later on, maybe like a week or two later, remember when we talked about me having breast cancer? So what came with that was I had my breast removed. And they were like, okay, well, I like you as a person. You're really cool. I want to still hang out with you, so I don't care. And I'm like, all right, cool, moving on. But it was just one of those things where the men that I met and I spoke to, once they knew my situation and kind of where it stemmed from, it was their persona with me didn't change. The way that they treated me didn't change. Their attraction to me did not change. And that was something that I had to convince myself. I had to, like I said, get out of my own head and stop telling myself that it mattered, because the only person that it mattered to at that point was me.
Yeah. So how do you, like, oh, sorry, Jasmine, go ahead.
I'm sorry, because my connection's getting a little wonky. Okay, sorry. I was going to say what's interesting is something, if you did something that I was talking to someone about, yesterday, I think her name was Jessica, and I hope she's in here tonight. I mentioned that I think telling someone about your breast cancer diagnosis or your breast cancer journey is a lot different than telling someone about the results of your breast surgery. I feel like that is something that probably should come at a later time. I don't know if I necessarily want to open up like, hi, my name is Jasmine. I have bilateral mastectomy. And you know what I mean? I feel like that I explained to her, I said, I think I want to enroll the right people. You know what I mean? I don't want to have to be like, I don't tell everybody I'm a business every time I meet them. I definitely like right now on like the dating sites or whatever, which CJ has been helping me on because I've shut mine down several times. Like literally, I saved the page, and then like I started getting matched, and I shut that bad boy down. So that my mom put something, and I said I don't have anything about breast cancer on there. I'm not leading with it. I want to get to know people. Then if I think they've like earned that, then yeah, then we'll talk about this is more to me. But again, I definitely think I'd separate those two conversations. I've had breast cancer and I've had a mastectomy, and this is what my body looks like now.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And I guess for everybody here, like, how do you move to that point, though, where you're like, you're comfortable to where you can share those kind of things? Because I think for a lot of people, like for myself, when I started meeting people after my treatment, it was more so like, that's what I would lead with, because I felt like whenever people looked at me, that's what they saw. And so it was hard for me to separate the two. I would just always be like, oh, I have breast cancer or I had breast cancer. And then it's just like, okay, but I don't have to lead with that. But that took a point for me to get there. So I don't know if you ladies have any advice of how you got to that point to where that wasn't the first thing that you would come out and say to people. Because I think somebody had asked that in the comments too. Like, when did you start telling people? And I know on our Instagram, when I posed the question in the stories, somebody had said like, well, when do you get to that point where you start telling people, okay, this is, I had breast cancer or I have breast cancer?
I think, like you said, I immediately say that, I've had breast cancer. It's a part of me now. So it's a difference between being authentic versus, like creating this false sense of intimacy. So that's where you separate the diagnosis from, like the reconstruction. So you can know I've had it. That's a part of my story. I want you to know that. But what's going on with my body, that's intimate. So you have to, you have to earn that right to know what's going on with my body. So I would always spill it out like, like, oh, like I have cancer when it comes to a guy. But slowly you start to realize, okay, well, they can't handle all of it at once. So, we can deal with the diagnosis. If you hang around for long enough, we can talk about what's going on with these girls, what they look like, what the scars that I got fake. We can talk about all that later. Just this is a part of me because now I have this whole family. So when I'm on the phone, I'm talking to a sis about what she's going through. I'm not talking to her right now because she is, she's priority. I understand that she needs to be priority. So it's a part of my life, but about all the goodies and the girls, we can wait on that till you ready, until you worthy.
There you go. That's how I feel about it.
Well, for me, leading with all of this that's going on, I do mention the breast cancer from the gate. It is on my profile because that's like the first question about my head. Like, where's my hair at? So I lead with that, but they sometimes ask questions, but most of them is because everybody has been affected by some type of cancer in their life. They tend to just be like, oh, okay, cool. You good now? You still fighting through it or so on, that type of deal. And I'm like, oh, I'm in remission, but I get 6-month checkups and we'll see where it goes or whatever. But in regards to like my scars from my lumpectomy or my biopsies and radiation and all of that, once it's time for you, when I'm considering you seeing this,
exactly.
When I start getting in my head, like, okay, you might get a peek, that's when you get a little bit more information.
But they are like big kids. Like either it's I don't care or let me see.
Yeah.
Like, let me see.
Like it's a show and tell type of thing. Like, okay, come on now, let me just take a little peek, just a little peek.
Mm-hmm. Like when you say no nipples, do you mean none?
Right. They want to like, do you mean like you have one? And so I did like the 3D tattoo. So it really like, once we get to that point, we start talking about it. It is really like show and tell. Like, sir, no, focus.
Well, tell you, he's got to give you some beads like Mardi Gras or something.
Right. That's all I'm saying. I don't want the cheap ones either. Cause
right.
Sometimes give me some good parade beads.
Yes, because we've been showing them to everybody for free while we were going to training. Now everybody else, you got to pay for this. Like, come on now.
Right.
Can you say it?
OnlyFans.
I saw the other day it was talking about pap smears, and it says like, how come after you finish the pap smear, the doctor's like, I'm going to leave the room so you can get dressed. And like, but you've already seen everything.
Exactly. That's what I say to them when they be like, well, we're going to let you go out. I'm like, you can stay in here. I had a whole resident, or like 12 residents in the room on every appointment. Like, I don't care if y'all in here. It don't matter at this point. Y'all done seen all of this.
Right.
So I will say what threw me off though when I did radiation is that, I mean, like, you don't count on this when people go into this business, but the guys were all like, they weren't that far away from me and age-wise. And so like having to be there and being like really vulnerable and exposed, I thought that was a little uncomfortable. But after that, like, I remember my doctor's a guy, and I went in there for something. And I was like, yeah, so this is the problem. I started taking off my shirt, and he was like, whoa. Here, you are still precious. And I'm like, sir, like, I thought this is the doctor's office. I'm not even.
Right. These things are optional.
Music or something and started dancing with it.
Right. Then that's a question.
Right.
So you guys have touched on something a little bit, and I think it's a great segue. Keneene, your blog, you asked the question, was my cancer too much for him to handle? Is in your situation like that actually wasn't the case, but I think in general, is that something that you guys keep in the back of your mind as you're meeting new people? I tell them about them, is it going to be too much to handle, or like, is that why you decide to be like upfront, this is what my situation is, take it or leave it?
I ask it from the gate. Like, I'm asking it. I asked, is this too much because I have to have these appointments every 6 months? Is that going to be, too much? I need to know, can you handle my boobs? Can you handle my child? Can you handle all of this? So if you're not giving me the type of response I need, oh, you dead from the gate. But I'm asking that like first couple of conversations. I'm digging deep, and some of them are taken aback. But that's how I know you're not for me, because I'm very direct, in your face, come and get it all or don't take none of it. I don't have time for the wishy-washiness anymore. I don't.
Right.
So.
Yeah. I know. I'm dating somebody right now. And I remember on one of our first Baddies Talk Back, I had said this before, where I had told him within that first couple of weeks that we had started talking, like told him about my breast cancer diagnosis. Like, that's actually how he knew about me, from finding that out on Twitter. And was also, I had asked him, will you be able to take everything that comes with this diagnosis, everything that encompasses with it? Because it's not necessarily just appointments and all that. Like, there's going to be some PTSD. There's going to be some moments where I'm just like not feeling like myself, and maybe I don't know why. And it has to be because I, was triggered, or I just don't feel like I look good today because I'm looking at my scars or this extra weight that I put on. And you could tell me all you want to, blue in the face, how cute I am. But if I'm not feeling cute right now, then that's just how I'm feeling. So there's so much that encompasses it. And that was one of my questions for him. And I feel like it was a really good, in-depth type of question, because then you have to think about it, because it's not just the surface, right? There's so much more that's below that.
Yes, I agree. Hi, CJ.
She's here.
Sorry, my child. I'm here. My child was talking to me about my dog.
So
yeah,
CJ,
it's
people are wanting to know, like, specifically how. Your blog, you talked about the first time that you actually told someone that you did not have breast. Can you talk us through how you did that?
Yeah, so it does go back to the whole, like, I was in my own head type of deal. And I like to overthink a lot of things, and I like to psych myself out. So it was one of those things where I was like, do I tell him now? Do I tell him later? Do I like kind of like reel him in and like make him love me, and then I tell him, or whatever? And I remember the first person I told, he was the first guy that I had went on a date with, and the date went really, really well. And I have a tendency, like, even now, like, I wear like oversized blouses, or blouses that are super flowy, or just like oversized shirts and stuff. And so that was what I wore that night. And we had a really good date. We spent, most of the night together, and then he took me home, and everything was good. And that was when I decided. Now, mind you, we had talked on the phone. I met him off of a dating site. So we had talked on the phone for probably like 2 weeks straight. The good thing is he was one of those, he's like me, he talks a lot. So we talked so much throughout the entire time where I was able to genuinely just, oh yeah, by the way, because the way that I talk about, and Jasmine and I have talked about this before, but the way that I talk about cancer is I talk about it like it was a cold, like a really bad cold. So I'm like, oh yeah, like when I was sick and after they hear that a couple times, they're like, okay, wait a minute, time out. Like, you keep saying this. What does that mean? And then I explained to them like, oh yeah, so like, I did have breast cancer at one point, and this is what the situation was, and this is how it went or whatever. And so I'm completely fine now, and I've been in remission for however long. And so that from what I've noticed with a lot of these guys, that to them is like it's intriguing, because they're like, oh my God, like you're a survivor, like that's so awesome. And then once we had our first date, I actually was like, hey, I have to talk to you about something. And I said, so remember, when, and again, this was 2 weeks after we had gotten to know each other. So I say it as like, oh, I tricked him in a way. But it was, after the first date, I did give him a call and I said, hey, I have to talk to you about something. And, you can decide whether or not you want to move forward with me. But I do have to let you know this is something, because this is a physical appearance that's not technically considered to be normal. And so I let him know, when I had breast cancer, I had both of my breasts removed, and this is the situation, and this is what happened. For me, I'm currently still deciding whether or not I want to do reconstruction. And so that's what it is. And his immediate response was, I don't care. Like, I like you. I had so much fun with you. And so that's fine. And then a couple of days, it was like, I just want to make sure your butt's real. But it was again, but it was, I strongly feel that you tell a person when you're comfortable.
Yes.
I'm big on letting them know, as far as, because we do have to be conscientious that for a lot of people, it is a different situation. It is something that they are going to have to technically get used to, or whatever, however you want to see it. And so it's being conscientious and being very considerate of how it could impact the other person's perspective, but also being sure of yourself of, listen, this is my situation, and like how you were saying, take it or leave it type of deal. Yep. So for me, it was always I'm always very open and very communicative of, here's my past, here's my situation. And I don't get out a lot. So I think I seen somebody ask about online dating. I don't get out a lot. Jasmine and I have talked about this. I don't like people in general. And so we're like,
I'm a lucky one.
Yeah, she is. I just don't like people at all. So I rely very heavily on online dating. Sometimes I get overwhelmed, and sometimes, I'm bored or whatever. So it depends. But it was just one of those things where it allowed me to also gauge the situation, control the conversation, and decide again whether or not, if they're going to move forward with meeting me in person, that means they like me and my personality, and that means that I can get to a point where I'm comfortable with letting them know, hey, if you want this to continue, by the way, because I would like it to continue. So here's what this is, this little tidbit. And again, I've never gotten a negative response. I've never gotten anyone that's had any type of adverse reaction, to say the least. It's just been I'm very, very big on communication, and very big on you do it when you're comfortable with that person, not when you feel like you should force it or anything like that, because you don't know if you're going to want to date them again after the first date. It's none of their business until you want to make it their business. And that's where I feel like as women, we can draw that empowerment and bring that control back to us, is I'll let you know when I'm ready. And, because we do also have to accept the fact that if we do want to continue, we are going to be intimate with them at one point. And so if we see ourselves getting to that point, then again, when we're comfortable letting them know prior to that, we can let that out. And if he is worth your time, and he's somebody that is genuinely liking you for who you are, none of that is going to matter. And I promise you, the older they get, the more they don't care. They just want somebody with a really good personality that will let them be themselves.
I will say that because my boyfriend is 10 years older than me, and it really, like, excuse my French, but he can give a fuck. He's just kind of like, okay, well, like, let's talk more about the relationship because the physical, I've already seen you. Because that's the one thing about men. I don't know if everybody realizes that, and I've known that just from raising a son. They're all visual. It's all visual. They, you know, they don't necessarily care. Just if they see you and they want you, they're going to go after that. But then if they're older, they definitely want to dive in deeper to like, is this going to be something that we're going to lay a foundation on and move forward with?
I agree. I date my window. I say I'm 41, so I date 41 to 51 is my range. I only online date because I work. I just graduated, got my master's, and I'm raising this girl over here. Woo-hoo. And so I don't, and I'm in Atlanta, and Atlanta is not my home. It still doesn't feel like home, even though we've been here 4 years. But I online date. I saw someone ask in the comments with sites. I use Match and I use OkCupid. OkCupid I don't pay for. Match I paid for. But I can teach you that route on how to not pay for it if you want to know that. But I met some pretty decent guys in there. I will say none of them cared as much about the boobs like I did. I do find that, and this is diving deeper, when it comes to kissing on them, they're a little bit more hesitant on the one that had the cancer.
Mm-hmm.
But all they care about is the butt, my butt and my legs. That's all they care about. And I got a little bit of butt and I got some long legs, but that's all they care about.
Yeah, I personally like Bumble. Has anybody tried Bumble?
I haven't. I tried Hinge.
Bumble, I like Bumble because it's more like female, like you get to initiate the conversation, so you just don't have a lot of like dudes or, you know, anybody just coming at you and everything. You get to initiate the conversation and go from there.
That's kind of OkCupid too, the way that I do it.
Oh, okay. OkCupid.
Yeah.
We need a whole tutorial about how Keneene works the system.
When you want to connect, we can connect. I can give it. My girl schooled me. I hope she watching tonight, Sawanda. She schooled me on it, and I've been flying ever since.
I've tried Hinge and Facebook dating.
How was that?
That was different. It was interesting, and I will say that I've tried Bumble too, and I will say with Facebook, I've actually found more more people who are more willing to like have conversation, like actually carry on a conversation, versus like Hinge. Like Hinge, I found a couple, but not really. Bumble, I just felt like whenever we started a conversation, it kind of went down it just went dead very quickly. I stayed away from Tinder, POF. Those two were just like wildly weird. But Facebook, I have found that and I can, you can pause your profiles and stuff every once in a while. So I found with Facebook, I found some pretty decent people who were willing to have conversations. We met up in person and it was okay. And either we moved on or we didn't or whatever. But I've liked it so far. But every dating site, I mean, there are people who've had, great results from POF and people who've had great results from Tinder and
very true.
And everything else. So I think, it just depends. I just have to learn to like people.
Well, I don't like people either. The older I get, the worse it gets. And I don't have time for nothing. Like the moment you say anything, and I got a whole list of anything in my head, you could be like, it's too sunny outside. And I'm like, block. You
see, that's the Gemini in you, though. That's the Gemini in you. And CJ, you're a Gemini too.
I'm a Gemini too.
Hey, CJ, I feel you. I'm evil though. I tell people I'm evil. I'm mean, but I'm mean in a good way, and everybody can't handle that. And I understand I'm not everybody's cup of tea. They tell me I'm sassy. I don't like that. I'm not a 5-year-old child. They don't like the assertiveness. I'm from up north. I'm from Michigan. We ain't got time for the BS.
That word drives me crazy. Assertive. That word just drives me crazy.
Imagine I'm from Southern California. We're the same way, and I moved to the South. And I get the whole you're kind of abrasive. You're this. Well, you can move on. I mean, you don't have to be here. It's fine.
This ain't what you want. Trust me. This ain't what you want. I will hurt your feelings real quick.
I'm gonna be dominant all day, every day.
This guy asked me, "Why are you so harsh? Why are you so mean?" I said, "Why are you so sensitive?" Like, Dio, check it out. Like, I ain't got time, but I did find some good guys in the South, so I'm not gonna front on them. There's some good ones down here, but I don't.
But I'm from the South, and I still get the same talk, like the guarded way you are about yourself. Like, what? I don't have time. Like,
yes,
you don't have to make it sound fancy. Like, I have zero tolerance. So just
I have this much, and that little bit in between them fingers. That's all I got for you. Come correct or don't come at all. I ain't got time. I'm trying to show my daughter how to do this. I ain't got time for this. I don't.
Yeah, I'm on the Facebook dating now, and I'm probably going to switch to Bumble under CJ's guys. But there's one guy that's been like consistent for the last couple of weeks. Okay. But then there were some other messages that I got, and I had to think, like, is it my patience? Is it then? Because he said, "Hey, beautiful," and just really irritated me. And I was like, don't try to bait me. Don't try to bait me.
Okay, so I have a good question. I have a good question for everybody in the group. So ghosting, we hate it. Some of us have done it. So let's discuss it. How do you move on when someone ghosts you, or why do you ghost people? Don't everybody be quiet. Come on, let's talk about it.
So I will say that. Oh, go ahead. You go. You go. Go ahead. No, you go, girl.
That's a lag. I'm sorry, boo. I feel like I have a better understanding of my worth now, and like I feel like, I'm super dope, and I'm a little quirky and a little awkward, and somebody will like it. So if you disappear, like, let me help you leave. Like, you don't respond, okay, delete, and I'll just move on. It doesn't even bother me anymore. I think that comes back with like self-worth though. When you know you're dope, it's like you're lost.
I'm the same way. It's like I say, I have the gift of goodbye. So, like once I'm done, I'm done. I can block. Like, it's like we never knew, unless, of course, it's like a long time situation. You want to mend it or have some closure if that exists. But I'm just like, I'm good. Like, and once I'm done, I'm done. It takes me a while to get to that point. But once I get there, like, there's just nothing for me to say. I think it's more, like you said, knowing your worth. And then you get to the point, if it doesn't serve me anymore, then I'm out.
That's it.
I feel that I'm dope in real life, so either get with this or not. And I will probably send you packing before. I don't like ghosting. I don't do it. I will tell you why this ain't gonna work. I have no problem letting you know what? I'm too mean. I'm too this. I'll put it all on me, even though I feel it's really them. I'll put it on me to make it a little bit smoother, but it tends to make them try even harder, and then I have to be mean. But I don't.
I like you so nice.
You're like, it's not you, it's me. I promise it's me.
Yeah.
But they're like, I like you, Keneene. I think we have chemistry. I'm like, we don't have any chemistry. We don't have anything. We're not good together. This and that, but they'll still try. But I don't like ghosting. I think it's rude. And because I'm a person, and it just goes back to my childhood stuff. I have abandonment issues, and I don't do well with ignoring. I'm all about being an adult. Use your words. You went to school. Use your words. Say how you feel. And I would rather you be honest and be like, Keneene, I really don't like you. And I would be like, you know what? I appreciate your honesty. I wish you all the best, and I keep it moving. But to ghost me, now I want to fight. So no, like, I don't like it. I take it real personal because you could use your words. You use your words all this time to try to woo me. So if you can use it to woo me, you can use it to be honest. Could be excuse my French, a bitch, and use your words. Mm-hmm. So that's how I feel. But I'm mean, so.
So the topic of tonight is, can you find cancer after, or can you find cancer? Lord Jesus, I've been drinking a margarita, so don't judge me. And it's been a long day. So can you find love after cancer? So I want each of you to answer that for me. I think Jasmine's getting ready to hop back on. I know she said she was having some Wi-Fi issues, but so can you find love after cancer?
Absolutely. I think absolutely. Like, there's no difference between the ups and downs of love before cancer, and after cancer. Yeah, you have some different layers to it now that you have, treatment, and you're always going to be on this journey, of in some way. But I mean, the dating life for me, it really didn't stop. So once I went through the breakup, I went through the counseling, and found my self-worth again, and I was back to being me. Once I stepped on the dating scene, it was pretty much normal. It wasn't what I thought. I was in my own head, like TJ said. I was in my own head. So the issues that I thought were going to be standing between me and finding a long term or just a relationship, they weren't there. So.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely feel that you can find love. I believe that everybody has the wherewithal to get love or to find love or be open to love if they want it. I know that's some people don't feel that way. Like when I was going through chemo and talking to people about it, because I was single, newly single, and I was just like, so how do you do it? Asking some of the ones who have been in a little bit longer than me, and some of them don't want to. Some of them are just like, I'm out here, doing what I'm doing. But I believe that I'm going to be a wife again. And I believe that I deserve love, and I want to give love, and I want to be loving to the right person, to my person. But I'm very much open to it. Hopefully it happens. If not, then I'm going to enjoy this ride.
I think going through the separation, I have been very intentional about healing myself. Been very intentional about it. Been very intentional about not letting any experience be in vain. Wanting to be better and not better, reflecting on myself so that I can address things within myself before I go on to the next relationship. Because, I read the book Relationship Goals, and it's an amazing book. I love Relationship Goals. And the sermon was awesome as well, by Pastor Michael Todd. And one of the things he said, and it made so much sense, is that if you don't know what you want to do with your life, it's hard to find the right people to do life with.
Yes.
And I think for me, like, I got married really young. I could not have guessed that this is the direction my life would go, but it is such an amazing life for me. That I wouldn't want to trade it. And I know that my partner is going to push me towards purpose. They're not going to be in that or be uncomfortable by that. So I feel more capable now of finding the right partner because I feel more of myself. Yeah. So
yes to all of that.
CJ, what do you think?
Listen, just so we're clear, when I'm at work, it's the same thing. I'm the last to say anything. It honestly, I strongly believe yes, you can. I'm gonna tell you right now, and I'm gonna cuss. I'm sorry. Listen, I had the same problems beforehand. And I'm gonna have the same problems after. These men have not changed. They just got older and got more annoying.
Amen.
And I've said it. I said it on Twitter, and I'm gonna say it again. I was a bad bitch before I had cancer. I was a bad bitch while I had cancer.
You better speak it. You better speak it, CJ.
Well, it was. I did the necessary work on myself before cancer. I had to realize that cancer did make some changes in me mentally and emotionally that I had to do some work on. And once I did that, my standards did not change. I did not lower them. I did not bend over backwards for anybody. And it was just one of those things where, when the time is right, it's going to happen. And for me, it's either you're here or you're not. And I have found people plenty of times that they want to be here. And for me, they weren't for me. But I definitely, for any woman who's out there who is newly single, who became single, after the fact, who, you know, whatever the case, whatever the case may be, as far as whether or not you have someone, you know, it is genuinely possible for you to continue to be loved, because at the end of the day, your physical appearance is just a fraction of what your relationship will entail. And a majority of adults, especially adult men, they are attracted, you know, yes, they'll be attracted to your physical appearance, but they will also be attracted to your personality, your heart, and all of those things. They come in as a package, they come in as one. So trust and believe that if a man has approached you, has entertained you, whatever the case may be, in that aspect, he finds you physically attractive. So again, I always come back to just get out of your own head and remember that it's you who's overthinking the situation, because at the end of the day, again, it's you as a package that's going to make or break whether or not you find that love and you find that situation that is best suited for you. And it's, for me, I mean, I am a single mother of a newly 13-year-old who has a soccer schedule that is literally, and Jasmine knows because she's tried to get me to come around so many times. My son's soccer schedule is 4 to 5 days a week. We have school. I have work. My work. I work in a male-dominated industry, and let me tell you, these men, as much as they try to say I'm assertive, I'm abrasive, all that other stuff, knowing I ain't got no titties, let me tell you, they be out there like, Miss CJ, can I take you out? No, you can't. I work in construction, so they don't, you know, so it's just one of those things where, you know, for me, and I was stage 4. That's what I also have to remind people. I was stage 4, meaning I had a year to live. I was told that this was a done deal for me. It was what it was. And that's the first thing they ask is, are you okay? And as soon as they find I'm good, okay, then let's move on. And I still have my scans. I still have my doctor's appointments. I will talk to them about it. I will tell them about it. And they know I talk about my life like it's normal. And I talk about my diagnosis like it was just a cold. And and I feel like that makes the conversation so much easier. And it makes the transition within whoever it is that you're interested in, whoever it is that you're trying to invest in, makes it so much easier. And they need to, whether or not you were sick, you have to have boundaries. Whether or not you have kids, you have to have boundaries. And they need to genuinely and wholeheartedly be respectful of that, just as they want you to be respectful of theirs.
Mm-hmm.
So when a man attempts to come into my life, no, you can't meet my son. No, you can't find out where I live. No, you cannot. You know, these are things that I say up front. And if you're still here, all right, cool. Let's make it happen and see what happens. And so, ladies, date. You know, you tell them when you're comfortable with where you want to let them know about your situation and your diagnosis and whatever the case may be. Set your boundaries, and please do not lower your standards.
Yes.
I know it's hard. You feel low. You feel whatever it is that you feel negatively in regards to your physical appearance. I promise you, they don't care. Do not lower your standards for the sake of anybody. Because like I said, and I told these men before, listen, I was bad. Bad now. Me, okay? We're not doing this. So if you try to be here, you're going to be here the way I want you to be here. Or you can go find somebody who will let you do whatever they want.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. And trust me, we live in the South. As a Gemini in the South, I didn't have men tell me straight. I've had a dude tell me straight up some wild stuff, basically talking to me like I'm a horse that needs to be tamed. Baby, you're not going to tame this horse.
Never.
Right now.
You better get on board. You better get on board and get on board quick, because we will leave you in the dust. I'm trying to.
I'm like a little crackhead right now, girl. Trust me. You cute. I was at the soccer fields in the heat. It's hot.
The other thing I would add is to be present. Be present in the now. And when we're dating out here like that, sometimes we get to thinking about this in the future and that and what could happen. Stay present in the now and live in the now for it. I stay right in this when I don't mind them talking about like in the future you want to do this, that, and the third with me, but let's be present right now. Let's just deal with this right now.
I think, ladies, we've had such a great conversation. There's so many things that we didn't miss. I feel like we need a part 2. We did not talk about, like Lisa and you talked about this, Nadia, about leaving a good man because you weren't in a good place to accept the love. We didn't talk about that. We talked about breasts, but we didn't talk about addressing infertility when dating, or so much. We're gonna have to come back for part 2, ladies, because this was a lot of fun.
Let's come back.
Yes, we should do that. And guys, we're also a little over our hour, so we're going to have to end this soon. But we appreciate everyone joining us tonight. This is a lot of fun. And guys, if you don't know, if you go to breastofus.com under blog, there's a place called On Video, and we'll be uploading. Yes, sometimes when we talk about sex, we actually have already. Go check that out. You can also suggest more topics for upcoming Baddies Talk Back. So let us know. And I think we should come back for part 2, ladies.
I'm game. You let me know.
We should, because I know a couple people had said. I know April said she had a funny story. There, Dion was in the comments too. I know everybody had a couple of stories. I know there's a lot of dating stories out there, falling in love stories. So we definitely should have a part 2 to this.
I know that fast lady asked me to talk about sex from Dallas. No, that one.
Ain't nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that.
No, we need to talk more about it.
You can have multiple meetings about sex.
Right. What was that? Yes, there's actually a really good topic. What is it that you sent to me the other day? Jasmine talking about a post-cancer hoe phase.
Yeah, I talked to CJ about that the other day, and I told somebody, I said, yeah, we have to talk about that.
Get out my business. So.
No, it's like what Issa Rae said, right? Everybody should have a rotation. I don't care who it is. In your life, you have to experience it once in your life.
Get your rotation on.
You can have multiple. You don't have to have one, but you should at least have one.
I feel like that's dating, though. People sometimes will immediately lock on to one person until you decide and you get to know people. I feel you should date. I didn't say fuck everybody, but date everybody, or date as many as you want until you find someone that's connected with you. But if you want to fuck them too, go ahead.
I was gonna say, if you want to fuck everybody, that's fine.
Just be.
And then if you just want to, get attached to that good piece, but he ain't gonna be around for a long time, then do what you gotta do to make it through. Like as I get to know the new me, I'll hold you while we'll do this together.
Maybe you just want some good head, from that person or those people, So.
I had somebody my nickname for him was Space Filler, and I feel bad for saying that, but that was his nickname, and he filled that space.
That was that purpose.
Yes.
That was the purpose. Everybody is in your life for a season.
Yeah, don't feel bad. I had a whole person that I text after a few months and was like, "Can I get some dick, please?"
Straight to the point.
Yeah, he was like, "Yep, okay, then I'll be there Tuesday at 8," and we set that appointment. We're good to go.
It was like once the sign started flashing, once the sexy came back, the sexy light came on. I was like, "Oh, all these clothes staying off."
I was asking while I was in chemo. I was like, "So how long I gotta wait?" She was like, "Give it about 48 to 72 hours, and then you could, they should be okay. They won't get hurt by the meds." I was like, "Cool."
So was I just the chick that's after my bilateral mastectomy, the drain still hanging, I had 2 on each side, but your mouth worked. So let me let me just relax, because I can't do too much now. I got the stuff attached to me. I can't do too much.
Get it how you get it. Don't touch this area. Just focus on this.
Like focus. You got this. You got this. Just you can do this. Let me coach you through.
For a reason.
Right.
I'll hold them up if you need me to.
Exactly. Right. We just keep these wrapped up. Work on that other half.
Don't worry about this. They good.
The other half work very well. Very well.
That's all we're here for anyway.
Get yours. I tell everybody you need to get your own as much as possible.
This is just aesthetics at this point. You just
right.
You don't need it. So it was always. I had a whole phase before cancer. I had a whole phase after cancer. I mean, we just go, hey.
I see some of these comments. Yes, I was being safe during COVID, so no COVID-19. Hold on, we talking about pre-COVID-19.
No. This was pre-COVID, not
Miss Safe. Wait. Keneene. Did you wear your mask?
I just was like, you've been good, you've been careful, you just been at home doing work from home. Yeah, me too. So just come here with your mask on, come through the door, and then
I'll spray you with Lysol.
Exactly. Leave your clothes at the door, and then here goes some stuff. Here goes checking the temperature at the door. Exactly, just like they do when you walk into the doctor's office. Hit them with you 97. Okay, cool. Shower.
I mean, I hopped on a plane, so I'm just like, it is what it is. Like, I don't know what to say. Sorry. We'll be safe at some time.
And on that
note, we'll practice safe sex in other ways.
We're practicing. I mean, we hit them with the, keep it moving.
Give him a little drop of inclination. You'll be fine.
I needed an O. Sometimes you just need an O,
That's it. Just give him a little drop of echinacea. They'll be all right.
That's all right. Like, here go a vitamin C tablet. You can get this tea in your little bag on your way out the door. I got like some ginseng. I got some ginkgo biloba. I got some, what you need. Elderberry,
We got a
I'm dead.
I'm bad. So.
No, it's true.
Okay, we're gonna log off, ladies. On the screen, stay on the screen so we can do our photo. My connection is so bad, I probably missed half the funny stuff that everyone said. It's okay.
Aww.
Thank you guys so much for joining us tonight, and we're gonna come back really soon, I'm sure, because there's so much for us to talk about.
Yes.
And we hope everybody have a great night. We'll see you next month. Stay on screen, ladies.
Good night, everybody. Stay safe. No COVID hoes.
Or hold safely.
Right.